Hello, flickin' fanatics from whatever multiverse you are watching this from. It is Jesse Swift back with another review, and this time we are we are once again visiting the MCU, the Marvel Multiverse. My brain is scrambled eggs after watching this movie, and we will get into some of my first thoughts and impressions. No spoilers though. This is our non-spoiler review. Stay tuned for spoilers tomorrow, but catch you after the jump. Hello, and welcome to the worst intro I've done for any video. Listen, I cannot be responsible for my brain right now. It's late. I've been very sleep deprived this week. It is, we got Moon Knight finale. I got cats trying to get in the door. There's so much movie in this movie. I think a lot of us were very concerned when we found out it was going to be 2 hours. And I've heard several reviews saying it needed another 20 minutes, need another 30 minutes. I will tell you, without getting into a lot of details, because we're not here for details, if the movie had that much more time, I would have watched it. I'm sure I would have loved it. I didn't feel it lacking when it wrapped up. However, maybe you could put like a scene in there. I don't know. It wasn't one of my big takeaways watching the movie. So, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, a long anticipated movie with No Way Home out of the way. I think this is most people's highly anticipated film, just judging by the box office numbers that are already coming through. Not Scott Derrickson returning for this movie, but Sam Raimi coming in to take the helm. And those of you that are familiar with Sam Raimi's work outside of Spider-Man may know him for the Evil Dead franchise or Drag Me to Hell. And I think the question that was on everyone's mind when Sam Raimi was brought on to cast this movie is, what kind of a Sam Raimi movie are we going to get? Are we going to get a lot of his humor, a lot of his horror, a bit of both? This movie, I think, might be the closest to horror we'll ever get in the MCU. And I kept seeing reviews saying that there's a lot of horror elements, that it's legitimately scary at times. And I doubted that, because Disney owns this, that it would ever get there. I know Moon Knight had a little bit of creepy elements. I'm like, oh, that's fun. But I never thought it would go there. Sam Raimi went there. He went there in spades. There's so much to process in the movie. There's a lot of shock. It's been a long time since I've had my jaw just on the floor for an extended period of time. And this movie kept doing that to me. And it's not just like, oh my gosh, the Spider-Mans are coming through. There's Toby, there's Andrew. Yeah, it's cool. And it's like, oh, wow. And then it passes, right? There was extended segments in this movie where I couldn't believe what I was watching. And it wasn't just fan service. Like, it was what they were actually doing in the movie that I was like, oh my gosh, it's a lot to process. So once the credits rolled, I was just kind of speechless. That, and I had to pee for the last 45 minutes of the movie. But the important questions: how is this movie as an MCU movie? It's really hard to say. It's really hard to discuss, because I am one of the few people that was a huge fan of the original 2016 Doctor Strange movie. It's actually my top 10 MCU films. Now, please don't click off the video just because I said that. Not everyone loves that movie. But I did. And I love Doctor Strange. He's one of my favorites, obviously. I mean, hey, check this out. That's what I wore at the premiere. And I went with Doctor Strange Build-A-Bear. That's where we're at. Anyways, so I was hoping and kind of expecting more of the same, which is more at stake with the introduction of America Chavez and Wanda coming on and obviously traversing the multiverse. This movie, not necessarily in a bad way, this isn't a complaint, doesn't necessarily feel like Doctor Strange 2. And it's not called Doctor Strange 2. It feels like a Doctor Strange movie directed by Sam Raimi that didn't have his hands cuffed to anything prior, other than, if anything, it's so much more important to watch WandaVision before watching this movie than it is to watch the original Doctor Strange. I find that interesting. And again, that may sound like a secret complaint. It's not. I'm just voicing thoughts. I'm just getting it out there, letting you guys know how I felt about it. And it's hard to really nail down how I felt. So without rambling too much more than I already have, Xochitl Gomez as America Chavez is charming. She is powerful. She's a great addition to the MCU, and I can't wait to see more from her, hopefully moving forward with things like Young Avengers seemingly in the works. Benedict Cumberbatch is not only great, he's the best he's ever been. And speaking of the best they've ever been, Elizabeth Olsen was a tour de force in WandaVision. She not only continues that, but I believe supersedes what she did in WandaVision. Benedict Wong is fantastic, and getting to see some of these characters play other versions of themselves is so much fun. It's so fascinating. And then obviously there are things that we have seen in the trailers that hint at bigger things going on within the multiverse. And if you haven't watched any of the trailers, then I'm not going to spoil that for you. That's not what I'm here to do. But it delivers on that aspect. I think there are some fans that'll be very happy. And I want to address the fact that there's some people reporting that, like, hey, temper your expectations. I had very high expectations going into this movie, and I think it delivered on almost all of them. Now, one of my complaints that happens occasionally in the MCU is when you get a director with a very specific vision like Shane Black. Shane Black made more of a Shane Black movie than he made an Iron Man movie. That worked for some, it didn't work for me. This is very much a Sam Raimi movie, and I don't think it's going to work for everyone. I want to defend this movie when I feel necessary because I really enjoyed it. However, I understand it not working for everyone because it almost doesn't feel like an MCU movie. There are certain hints of things that have happened in the MCU, but tonally, dialogue, visuals, it doesn't, I don't know, it feels like something else. So I was like, immediately after, our job as Marvel fans, right? Every time you see an MCU movie is, where do you rank this amongst your list? I don't even know how to process putting it on the MCU list. It's like, here's my list, 1 to like 27 of MCU films. And then Multiverse of Madness is out here in the multiverse. So I really don't know. It's too soon. I'm seeing it again tomorrow, so maybe I'll have better thoughts. And maybe after having a spoiler talk, which I will be doing later tonight and should be up on the channel, hopefully tomorrow sometime with a couple friends of the channel, maybe I'll get my thoughts together. Anyways, it's almost been 10 minutes. I'm rambling on. Something I definitely want to touch on is Danny Elfman reteaming with Sam Raimi was such a beautiful choice. I love Michael Giacchino's score. I wish I would have heard it more in this movie and some more like compositions between Danny Elfman's score and Michael Giacchino. But what Danny Elfman does is consistently impressive. And I won't give context, but there was a scene that I believe was specifically designed to show off Danny Elfman. And again, if you are Evil Dead fans, you are going to love tonally this movie, visually, and the moments that are humorous are Sam Raimi's humor. Now, there's a lot of people, obviously, are coming out of this movie not fans of what Sam Raimi did. And so I don't know really what to say. It's a hard movie to review because the whole purpose of a review is to give you my thoughts to help educate whether you want to go see it or maybe get an idea of what you're going to think. And if you've already seen it, maybe process your thoughts. It's hard to do that. This movie's going to hit everybody differently. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I may have loved it. I'm not sure. I'm writing that like, here's love, here's really liking it. I'm kind of circling it. That's the closest I can come to final thoughts here. But before I ramble on, I've already said that several times, but I don't want to make this a 20-minute video. I very much enjoyed the movie. The cast was phenomenal. The story was fascinating, and even if you've watched all the trailers, there are surprises in there. I will say the trailers show too much in the way that once you get to certain points, and you're like, okay, you've got an A, B, C, and then you have F coming up, and you're like, okay, I can figure out D and E to get to F. I can connect the dots. That's a very long-winded way of saying that. So there are trailer moments that as you start getting closer to them in the movie, you're like, okay, I see how they're going to get there. And that's unfortunate. I would have liked to been surprised all the way through this movie. I think they could have stayed a lot vaguer. Anyways, guys, if you've seen it already, let me know in the comments what you thought without spoiling it. And yeah, are you excited if you haven't seen it? It's gonna be wild. It's gonna be wild. Once again, just if I were to summarize like 2 words to get my whole thoughts on this movie, this is what I kept telling myself when I was sitting in those credits. Jesus Christ. So I will talk to you guys on the spoiler review. Until then, keep it real. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure to like the video, share it on the Twitter, get the tweets out there. Love to hit at least 100 views on this. It'd be great. I like doing reviews like this, and I can't wait to do some spoiler talk. I have so many thoughts, and I can't process. It's madness. All right, guys. Talk to you later, and